The lower bracket continues on this second stream here for the Quake World Championships. Myself and Lethal coming at you with NOSFA versus BUKSTER. Now, NOSFA, I feel like because when you look at players that we see all the time, NOSFA, he's exciting to watch. Everyone hopes that he does really well, but BUKSTER in particular this weekend has looked really, really good. And truthfully, I don't remember ever seeing these two go head-to-head. So we'll see if this difference in style, who it favors the most.
Yeah, and we know how strategically aggressive NOSFA is. It's going to be quite an issue and a feat to take down NOSFA himself. And if he's going to be able to, that's going to be another story here. It's going to be a real tough ask in a tall order, but we've seen some strange things. Weren't too sure if BUKSTER was going to get out of the groups, and he did with almost flying colours. It was a bit of a mess, that group as well, with Kelts and Dramus, I believe it was. And now we're going to see exactly how things are going to occur here. BUKSTER can continue his ride into the lower bracket, or NOSFA is going to continue his own version of that going into this series. So already start off the slash with NOSFA, Nyx with BUKSTER. And already hitting that first initial rail and backing away. But it does pick up the Mega, so at least he's able to delay that as well.
Just get to see what the dynamic's going to be, really, between these two, as BUKSTER started off with some pretty decent rails, and it's enough to force NOSFA to retreat. In this instance, though, we're going to be looking at that next item. The heavy is going to be the objective here, but NOSFA, it's a scary fight, right? Especially now, you're barely not railable. So with BUKSTER in a position, BUKSTER about to take the heavy, as we've seen many, many times on Blood Covenant. If you have that stack to work with, a tactical rocket jump back up to the bridge means early aggression is more than possible. NOSFA shows it respect, disengages, and takes the item left on the board. In this case, Mega Health. So you're kind of looking at how NOSFA is going to find some kind of in here. There's going to be a lot of range demanded, I imagine. And that is going to be just the classic game of just chipping away at this point. BUKSTER's been able to pick up another heavy, as you can see. And as long as BUKSTER's able to keep you at arm's reach, he's going to be laughing. And one of the problems that NOSFA's going to have here is that he doesn't have a rail. Minute and a half, and he hasn't been able to pick one up, Harry.
No, he hasn't at all. Just look at the damage so far. It's been a bit more in favour of BUKSTER double, actually, but NOSFA had a good start that rail earlier on at the very beginning, as we're just a minute and a half in. This heavy is up, but neither player is tempting fate here to go for it. Of course, BUKSTER being in a better position could have been, but he's actually backed up a little bit too far here, so that's actually going to be a free heavy for NOSFA. And if he segregates that item on the Mega, which is only by a few seconds, to see how he's going to pass through here. So NOSFA does have an educated guess with the timing of that Mega. Once he's picked up the heavy, he won't be able to grab it, but at least he'll be able to make an attempt to contest it and do some damage later on.
I think NOSFA's playing very carefully here, though, and I definitely agree with it. At this point, BUKSTER has been able to show that the slow play really belongs to him. And what a fitting first map, actually, between these two. BUKSTER not afraid to play a little bit slower, a bit more reserved. Echoed, really, by the Nyx. And at the same time, NOSFA is the one that's sort of cycling around, looking for those aggressive opportunities. Opportunities that just simply haven't presented themselves yet. But there's that opening rail. That's going to deal with a fair chunk, and that rail missing its mark is going to be quite attractive for NOSFA. Looking for a second shot. But this is where the priorities lie. I now have control over this heavy. The battle of two light champions. The champion that holds control of the armor is often in a much, much better situation. You can even see there, NOSFA was expecting BUKSTER to hang around on the Mega and maybe try and steal it. BUKSTER trying to err on the side of caution there. A good 10 seconds until the next item appears. I think NOSFA's not going to be satisfied until we get some more damage. Sadly misses the rail. The idea was there, but not the end of the world, Harry, because a heavy lies in wait.
Exactly, yeah, he's just rotating the items at the moment. 8 items for NOSFA, 5 for BUKSTER right now. As long as he's keeping control, this is the main thing, and a little bit of LG damage, but what a rail combo straight afterwards. NOSFA getting that first initial frag, the one he's been looking for a fair few minutes on Blood Covenant. But now, obviously, Ghostwalker is available for BUKSTER. We'll be using it a little more aggressively when he actually gets the chance to establish some kind of control with these items, but hits the rail once again, uses that Ghostwalk. Oh no, right, he almost followed him. He's going to be able to find him though, but with that mobility there, the speed, he was almost able to catch him, but now down to 60 HP, and BUKSTER does take him down and still got a decent stack to work with.
BUKSTER was looking for that exit rail as NOSFA's flying around the corner, but couldn't quite hit it. What we have been able to do, though, is tie things up 1-1. And now BUKSTER's time to slow things down yet again. Lots of information being gathered as Slash is sliding around this map. But at this point, it's all about protecting that armor. There's been a real struggle for power on this item. You can really tell why. If you have more armor than the other light, then you're able to withstand so much more punishment. And you're not going to want to give it up for free. It's a very typical Blood Covenant situation where, you know, you're making your presence known on an item, you're looking for at least just one rail. One rail can undo so much of the work an item gives you. BUKSTER with a really lovely wall jump, actually, to push himself forward there, and then using the Ghost Walk and the invincibility to bypass that plasma trail. Sadly, could not land that rail, and is now looking for more. Does hit the second shot. Are we going to look for a third? No! The attempt is made, but we can't hit it. And that now means BUKSTER is left retreating as NOSFA flying forward, saying, "You're not going to take that Mega, my friend, that's mine."
Oh, another rail again, and NOSFA comes straight in with a shoddy. No hesitation at all in the slightest. 2 seconds to the next heavy. NOSFA just getting himself into position, trying to contest that rail as well. What a vertical rail. Go for the second, but it's going to try and finish off with a shoddy, but the Ghost Walk comes into play, and it could have come to a better play than that scenario there. So heavy has been picked up, Mega's up in 5, and NOSFA trying to get as fast as possible towards it. Hits that initial rail, but he's so weak. Literally a tickle will be able to clean him up, and does actually find him, and doesn't actually get the opportunity to take him down, sadly, Ryan.
No, not quite. That is a bit of a difficult situation to be in sometimes. You know, an opponent's left standing, but they still have all their weapons. I guess there's really no point going on to that talking point anymore because it just went 3-1. NOSFA keeping a hold of everything that he needs. The weapons, the ammo, the stack, especially the stack now that heavy's just been picked up. But now BUKSTER, there is no rail to be had, and this is where things are going to get a lot more challenging. Well-placed LG towards Mega, so that's going to be a nice little steal away there. NOSFA was definitely looking to take both of those items, but the rail up the jump pad, that's going to send a message to BUKSTER, especially near these pillars. This Ghost Walk has been used to save his life so many times, almost every single opportunity. Sadly, again, not enough to actually live there, but NOSFA with a pretty impressive lead. 4-1 doesn't sound like much, but on Blood Covenant, definitely is.
It really does, especially with the mobility of the Slash. It's just going to make matters so much worse. He does have that plasma trail once again, does find him. Hits the initial rail. Looking to try and rotate around, but it looks like he'll maybe have to guarantee the heavy, but also trying to prioritise that 5th frag. It doesn't get to catch him, sadly. That was so close, but finds him. Doesn't get any tripod damage down. But does pick up the heavy. But look at the stack difference here, Ryan. We've still got 2 minutes 45 left on the mark, but I've not really seen any signs of BUKSTER being able to bring this back. It's been rare occurrences and NOSFA's kind of let any kind of sign of him being out of control here. He's just been doing a phenomenal job with this Slash.
It's like we said at the very beginning of this series, it's the clash of styles. BUKSTER is historically a little bit of a slower player compared to NOSFA, or at least that's what we've seen throughout the course of this weekend. NOSFA's been more of a playmaker. NOSFA's been cycling around this map, really in charge of the overall pace. And even there, just, you know, crouch slide all the way around. BUKSTER must have gone for some kind of close range play, maybe looking for a telefrag, but way too off timing. And that's just a simple little super shotgun to the face for your troubles. So at this point, NOSFA's going to be taking this first map. Halfway there to moving on in this bracket, but so sadly sending BUKSTER home.
Yeah, we'll have to see what BUKSTER can do next game, but like I said before, I didn't really see any signs of him having a inkling of an idea of what he could do to kind of break NOSFA with his strategic aggression on this map. And he's been playing this so well, and just looking at the item control so far. 21 items for NOSFA, 11 for BUKSTER here. 54% accuracy with the rail. Like, you can't really complain about that at all in the slightest. Just doing a phenomenal job, just putting so much pressure onto BUKSTER and being really proactive around the map as well. Get a little bit more damage in with those rockets just to kind of add a little bit more salt to the wound to try and make it up to 7. But if you didn't know, yeah, like I said before, NOSFA played this really well at the start of the series.
There's a minute left to go, but it is one of those, I think this later on in the day too, a rather crushing minute. There's always a chance that you might want to just jump into that next map. You're going to want to reset, you're going to want to refresh. But here we are, 50 seconds left to go, and it's like, you know, we're reaching the end of the day now. We've played so many matches, we've worked so hard to be where we are in this bracket. Some players might just want to get on into the next game, and NOSFA certainly will with that momentum he's currently working with. 6-0 now, and NOSFA pretty impressive. Gotta say, didn't look particularly challenged in that match. I think BUKSTER did what he could to slow things down, but NOSFA aggressive but not careless. I think that reminds me of when we saw BUKSTER play at the start of yesterday, dealing with players like Celts, for example, who were very aggressive, but they were predictable round corners. They were leading themselves into a trap. NOSFA, known as an aggressive player, but it's not foolish.
No, it wasn't at all. GG's for both players. 7-0, a very simple concept on that map with NOSFA taking that quite convincingly there. As you can see from the stats there, 23 items for NOSFA and 13 for BUKSTER to finish things off. And he made the stack work really well for him across the board. He was able to get as much done as possible. Very proactive around the map, as I've rightly said. Denying that rail on so many occasions to not really give BUKSTER the opportunity to create that chip damage, the potential to ease himself into that matchup. And it was a very difficult task for him. There's only so much you could do with that heavy machine gun, but struggling to contest the items again and again. But it's all the surprise attacks and traps left by NOSFA was able to secure that win.
Considerably more damage as well, actually.
Yes.
That's something I was looking at the end game stats. I think there was just shy of 1,000 more for NOSFA, and with 2 champions that are both light, that's a very interesting tale. But it does look like we're getting ready to load into our second map. I think it's going to be Vale of Nath from what I can see in this lobby. I can actually see BUKSTER hovering over Akil, so we shall see if that's going to be the actual champion that is selected here. Akil having a much higher pick rate this weekend than I think players really expected to see.
Any pick rate at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Keel was recently adjusted a little bit in, I think, the latest patch, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
There's definitely some elements there that we can take away from and experiment, try and get it working at this point. NOSFA, a little bit more traditional, it's going to be the Ranger.
Yeah, we've seen Kill quite a lot on Vale. We saw it once on Crop to Keep by Maxter, which was a complete spanner. Yeah, twice now, a complete spanner in the works, which is a bit interesting, so to speak, but it's actually made it work each and every time, which is some pretty good stuff there from Maxter. He's done it before with a slash and Crop to Keep once upon a time last year, and again made these things work. So some of these off-meta picks, it makes your opponent really not really too keen, but able to adjust to that kind of concept of the meta with those champion picks. It's very difficult, especially if you're quite new to that concept. But going to go into Vale very shortly. We're going to see if BUKSTER can tie things up, but the way NOSFA was playing earlier, I really don't know.
There's going to be a vast difference in the stack and the access to damage, so you never know. This could be the moment that BUKSTER now brings it back. It's definitely a different matchup to what we've been normally seeing. NOSFA, a lot more of that burst damage in a close proximity, but more costly, whereas these grenades are available at a moment's notice, unless you've obviously run out of all 3. But let's really see how BUKSTER approaches this match. You would think, in theory, that this lineup of his, with the Vale and Keel combined, could be quite good for him, actually, because he is a patient player. One of the main things that Keel is able to do on a map like this is take advantage of bad positioning. He can punish you, he can force fights at close range, all of it based around playing slowly, defensively, and springing a trap for your opponent. So there's a nice little opening rail there to start things off. First mission between these two could very well be heavy. We're going to see if BUKSTER is going to look to establish on this one. A little bit of opening tri-bolt damage, but okay. It looks pretty content to let the heavy rock. I think it's going to be NOSFA that picks this one up.
It certainly will indeed. 5 seconds to make it appears, but oh my god, there's a fair amount of damage there. Almost equalising the stack, but managed to rocket jump up straight for that mega. Hits another rail. BUKSTER, my goodness, so weak. Even from the tri-bolt, he could be cleaned up here. Oh my god, left on 18 HP. And it's just waiting for him to come on through. Hits a very risky rail. That was so... I'm surprised he managed to get away with it.
A risk worth taking, it seems, as the damage dealt to NOSFA forced him to tactically retreat. At this point, we're going to re-engage, slow things down. BUKSTER, item time. So, Mega first. 12 seconds now is going to be the heavy. All the grenades, 10 rockets, rails good to go as well. I think this is a pretty good recipe for BUKSTER, should NOSFA come round a corner or something. But I think this is where NOSFA's going to have to be really, really careful, because again, you come around one of these corners and NOSFA is taking so much damage for it while being down on stack at the same time. It's not a good recipe.
Ooh, LG comes out from BUKSTER. He's on the hunt again. Gonna try and orb one up, but actually fakes out. He gets a little bit of damage done on that LG, which is pretty incredible stuff there. But the Mega still available, has been untouched for a while now. This BUKSTER just focused on trying to get this frag onto him, but needs to be careful about the spawn afterwards. So you can see that he's taking him down, but backing off enough in order to make sure that he doesn't spawn him anywhere too close towards that Mega. So nice play coming out from BUKSTER. Good first frag as well, well implemented.
One that was quite hard fought though. Used all of his LG ammo at the time, had to resort to that starting machine gun right near the end. NOSFA caught round a corner, and again, this is why Keel is kind of coming back, you know, Keel back in fashion. You take a map like this and you're waiting for someone to come round a corner, you're all of a sudden you've got access to damage that most champions can't get as regularly as Keel can. And now there's 2 rockets here. Looking absolutely fantastic for BUKSTER at the moment. NOSFA unable to break into this iron defense that BUKSTER has established.
BUKSTER now just rotating back around. NOSFA so weak. Look at the stack from BUKSTER so far. NOSFA's actually had 7 items, BUKSTER's had 6, so his item game's been a lot stronger previously. 55% rail accuracy as well. BUKSTER just on the lurk, just to see what he can find. Knows that he's around that rail room, just a matter of how he's going to try and trap him here. Gets him with the LG, gets a little bit of damage on a few pineapples on the left-hand side. Just to clean up, beautiful rocket. Getting up from BUKSTER, making it free here, Ryan.
It certainly is. And BUKSTER took minimal damage as he pushed through. NOSFA, fresh off spawn, is only really going to have access to a rail, maybe something else, and that's obviously why the orb was used there. Would have been a complete sitting duck had he not escaped in that situation. But BUKSTER still comfortable with where he is. He has so much stack. It's going to be the health next, something that I don't really know if NOSFA can challenge. NOSFA's by all means going to try and do it. 92 damage rocket, that's going to send you to space, and there is the orb used, but to no avail. No pun intended. 4-0. Sadly, though, using the orb right as he went down means it's gone for 30 seconds.
That is true. Stacks are equal, so BUKSTER can continue piling on the pressure with the weapons in his arsenal. Mega is up, and so is the light, so stacks looking pretty good so far for BUKSTER, but yeah, NOSFA, again, not really had a way in so far. Halfway in this map. And you're right there, the kill pick's looking pretty damn good. Back in the meta as always. And look at how much damage. Oh, he was trying to pretend to orb away, but already got railed down. Able to pick up the heavy once more. And yeah, this is a completely different BUKSTER compared to what we saw in that first map.
Tell you what, there is some stuff happening at this venue. I wonder if that is the Chain and Strong Stage match, perhaps. Just a reminder, everybody, to keep both monitors, both tabs, whatever. Watch as much Quake as you can for QuakeCon, because, I mean, clue's in the name. It's the weekend for it, and there are a lot of good matches happening. Don't want to miss a thing. Now, 4.5 minutes, though. BUKSTER, incredibly strong lead. Looking like we're going to go to a third map with these two. This Keel has looked impeccably strong.
Certainly has. Tickers him just a tad. Oh, that rocket was so close going through. We're almost getting that direct, but heard a few pineapples here and there. He's going to try and dive on in with the LG. Good rocket from NOSFA, but still look at this stack difference. He's got the height as well. Just trying to get him out of that shotgun, but took him quite a while. Hasn't got any more LG ammo left, so we'll have to repair this shortly as the heavy is up. Just wait to see when the best time for it. It just decided to go straight forward, but without that LG in BUKSTER's hand, it's going to make it a slightly more difficult task to deal some return damage.
Just from this point, BUKSTER taking a decent amount of damage, but the grenades and the rockets have just been so good in the damage department that...
Nice.
Right, okay, NOSFA. Shot number 1. Frag number 1. 4 more of those to go versus an opponent that's going to have more stack than normal. Grenades. It's going to be hard. You're going to have to catch BUKSTER with very little, if not no, weapons. Now NOSFA, there's still time for this though. 4 frags in over 3 minutes on a small map is doable. NOSFA, okay. Make that 3.
What an orb. And it's like I said before, with that starting stack, it's going to be a bit more of a challenge with the pineapples as well.
Hang on a minute.
And still making it 3. We were just assuming it will go to a 3rd map. NOSFA putting a change to that great rail there to start things off on that next spawn from BUKSTER. And how things have changed so quickly.
BUKSTER's going to have to be pretty quick getting this armor and this light. As we back off towards this next objective, NOSFA opens up with a rail. BUKSTER cannot stick around up high because it would have been... Oh, wait a minute. NOSFA from behind. Goes in for the chase first, knowing that the Mega is going to be uncontested and a free pickup. But this offensive play from BUKSTER, BUKSTER's going to have to get so much damage to make this as worthwhile as possible. And the rail with the grenade, I think that's kind of as good as it was going to get. NOSFA, a tactical rocket jump. This is Ranger we're talking about. Way less self-damage. Beats him into the heavy. BUKSTER tries and manages to steal it away. Had NOSFA taken that heavy, we would have evened things up 5-5.
Absolutely. Oh my god, what a direct from BUKSTER now to... Well, we had the lead anyway, but now can extend it back to 2. 2 minutes left. My goodness, it was looking a bit dicey, but... Again, his starting stack from Kill, you've got to remember, you've got those grenades and you have the machine gun to boot, so it's a very difficult task to stop him from even trading out in the slightest. Heavy's now up, but NOSFA now's going to take the risk to go for it and using that orb as a fake. Picks up the light, and now the problem is BUKSTER hasn't got any rocket ammo, so he'll be dropping down for that shortly. As already, NOSFA just dives straight on in. Some good shots then. NOSFA does take him down, Ryan, and now it's only a 1 frag deficit.
BUKSTER off the spawn doesn't even bother with the railgun there. I think the LG, maybe not so much the nail, but the LG really was the important option. So now getting a bunch of damage, not able to get a trade though. BUKSTER secures the frag, takes a rail for it, but now takes both major items. There's 1 minute warning, and NOSFA, it can be done, but everything's going to have to be perfect here. BUKSTER is going to be so careful, knows what's at stake.
BUKSTER's going to be abusing all these narrow choke points and corridors to get the full use out of those pineapples. BUKSTER just, look and see where we went. He found him through the TP. Good rocket, 152 there, my goodness. But of course, he's not going to go through. But you've got to think though, Ryan, he's only got 30 seconds left. Even then at this point, it's going to be an extremely tough task. It goes in, but BUKSTER's already picked up the Mega. That's pretty much going to be a sealed deal here. It's NOSFA will lose this second map. But listen, we are going to go to a map number 3. And honestly, I would not have expected this at all in the slightest. I think a lot of people, especially at home, would have gone, yeah, 2-0. Yeah, let's on to the next one. But BUKSTER, just a formidable job. Great control at the very start of that game.
It kind of feels a little bit like NOSFA took some time to become reacquainted with the keel on a map like this.
Yeah.
I think that there was a lot of the starting moments on that map. There was a lot of going through these choke points, pushing forward, being aggressive, and paying for it. You know, just paying for it in the form of the grenades, the close-range rockets, all the stuff that you expect to see from Kiel from back in the day, but a little bit better now. You know, those grenades are a little bit stronger than they used to be because of the bounce properties, and you know, Kiel has that larger stack, so he is able to withstand a lot more. That opening almost 5 minutes, it just looks like NOSFA was having to remember how to fight this champion. And BUKSTER, of course, using the champion more than well enough to make it work. You know, anyone could pick Kiel and you could probably lose. You know, BUKSTER's just been really showing up this weekend, and I think our next and final map is going to be Molten Fools, Anarchy versus Strog.
I do find it quite interesting that we haven't seen Kiel the entire Pro League, but they're still confident enough to make that switch. You know, maybe they were testing them out during those 2 weeks because they remembered how annoying or how frustrating some of the champions could be in a LAN environment on the LAN build, especially not many people really favoured those heavy champions. And Kiel wasn't exactly one of them. It was more because of the size of the hitbox. But with Vale, it makes things a little bit different with the pineapples, with the LG situation. You don't really see too many LG fights in comparison to other maps, so that's probably why you will see more like heavier champions going into Vale. Maybe for Kiel, because you're always going to be thinking about positioning yourself to take advantage with those pineapples, with the rockets, with the defensive maneuvers you can use. Because defensively, as a Kiel with the lead, he is an extremely pain in the backside to deal with, and you saw a good example of that on a few of those occasions. But we are going to go to the third map shortly between the Strog and the Anarchy going on to multiple falls, and right now it's anyone's guess. Both have the mobility. The Pika's going to do itself justice here, but we're going to see how this is going to go, and this could be one potential upset for the B stream before we head off.
It would be a great way to make your mark. BUKSTER's a player that we've seen a whole bunch, but have rarely seen have the opportunity to stick around, and I'd love to see how far BUKSTER can go. Still in the tournament at this point, still fighting for his life. Has to get through NOSFA for ultimate victory. Now BUKSTER's going to be forced through this TP. Not the end of the world though, as we can at the very least get ourselves a railgun. And by doing that, BUKSTER now, we heard that pre-death scream. NOSFA now forced to run back. It's going to be armor time next. The inject is ready, misses the rail though, finally takes out the Pika. But it looks a lot like BUKSTER has been able to get his hands on both of these major items. And that's perfect timing on both. Pushes out a bit first, looks to deny the light. Absolutely wonderful stuff. You can't see it from NOSFA's point of view, of course. I'm watching it through BUKSTER's. BUKSTER has just taken away a lot of resources, and he's got timing on all of them.
Yeah, not the best to start. So at least he hasn't got the first frag as of yet. Heavy is up. Has been up for a few seconds, but it's actually went towards the light straight first instead. Picks up the heavy finally. And the Mega's not up for another 5 seconds. And NOSFA's not in the best of scenarios, so to speak. So we're a minute and a half in, and it's gone from having all the item control and the lights in perfectly timed, ready to decide how to approach BUKSTER, to now BUKSTER's already creating that role reversal with the item control. And the heavy will be up next 5 seconds, unless NOSFA wants to create a little bit of an airstrike here, diving down. But you can see he backed off quite early, as he was worried that BUKSTER will just go straight for him and just leave the heavy.
BUKSTER's going to be quite content at the moment with the stack advantage with both of these items. There's going to feel a lot more better with some kind of frag lead, and that rail could certainly set things up. It's now going to be another Mega in the hand of BUKSTER.
Still, no armor for NOSFA here. This is looking pretty damn bleak, and it's not like he can rely on his mobility because he's against an Anarchy, so it's not exactly something you want to try and deal with now. The Pika is still in his back pocket, and he's just waiting for those audio cues, just trying to see exactly which route he wants to take. But he can hear that he's just around that Mega area. Just trying to see if he goes up those LG stairs, but right now NOSFA's doing the right thing, just wait for the audio cue to then move on. And he said it before, he's not exactly a quiet lad, is he, with that hoverboard, and going in now, he's come up with the Pika. Good damage with the Pika as well, almost even in the stacks. BUKSTER still with that advantage to the HP, and NOSFA is just getting away. The damage has been done, that was what he was looking for, and Megas can be up in 5. How much does NOSFA want to commit to this? It looks like it's actually BUKSTER's backed away.
Quite a smart decision. NOSFA has spent the last part of these 3 minutes just being slow and reserved. Kind of interestingly, the kind of thing that BUKSTER would normally do, at least over the course of this weekend. BUKSTER now not doing as well. And with that makes me very interested, because NOSFA, a rather explosive player, known to take advantage of those small opportunities. And so far, just from a item control level, so only recently NOSFA's been able to actually make something happen. Up until this point, it was 4 heavies and 5 megas for BUKSTER. And as you can imagine, significantly less for NOSFA. But it does look like this could be a turning point, as now, you know, we're looking at NOSFA's point of view, and he's sliding around the map. He's being careful, sure, but he's hunting. He's looking for his opponent. On the opposite end, as NOSFA was doing at the start of things, BUKSTER, this is the first time we've seen a fight in quite some time. BUKSTER was doing the same thing, walking around, listening for audio cues, acting accordingly. Unfortunately, had to concede that next major item, because now it's going to be in the hand of NOSFA.
Certainly is. It's funny we're seeing these back and forth moments with the item control, but still have not seen any frags. You see that BUKSTER heard him instantly, trying to back away, trying to catch up to him. Oh, great play from BUKSTER just to make that other rotation, but he's using that Pika just to confirm. Still lurking about, wants to maybe to get a bit more damage done to say the least, but he's stolen that light, managed to get the Mega. Realising that he's around the rail, he should be able to try and catch him, but that's such a good defensive posture there from BUKSTER. Did a lot more damage than we expected. And NOSFA, a couple moments there, we felt like he should have at least secured that first frag, but now at the halfway point. And honestly, it's anyone's guess here. Good rocket to rail combo, looking to again get that initial frag, but just can't find it here, Ryan.
And it feels very bizarre to be saying that, because I think a decent amount of damage has been dished out. But here we are over the halfway mark, and very little has happened between these two. There's that Pika coming out once more. BUKSTER has to be careful with that. Yeah, that's one of the oldest Strog tricks in the book, is to get the Pika, force the rail, and then punish the downtime of the rail with one of your own. However, Tri-Bolt, pretty good, but not enough. In this instance, 10 seconds is far too long to be able to safely sit around on the Mega without NOSFA being able to slide in and maybe even take it for himself. The rocket duel is pretty real. LG to push out, the LG to enforce respect on BUKSTER, who in this case is looking to punish that jump pad, eats a rail for it. Decent amount of rocket damage, but not enough to deal with the 2 damage that you have left. Make that 77 now.
Oh, caught with the LG going up that jump pad as well. BUKSTER trying to get away. He's been, oh my god, you saw that at his feet, and what a return rail. That was so risky from BUKSTER, but he made it work. That was a very important rail, actually. Oh, that would have been another one. He was able to land that, but in the end, Heavy is going to be up in 10 seconds. BUKSTER's in position, but NOSFA's going to be lurking behind. Actually, BUKSTER still could grab it, but look, oh my goodness, the 93 damage from that Tri-Bolt. Heavy is still up, and he's going to try and get it before NOSFA does. If NOSFA went the other route, or actually went top for the TP, NOSFA could have had a guaranteed Heavy there.
Not much time to reflect on that stuff now, though, for these players. NOSFA, who was pretty decent in his own right on that map. It kind of looks like things have been flipped momentum-wise, as now it will be BUKSTER. It's a bizarre situation, though, Lethal, because we're looking at the stack and you're kind of thinking, right, who's more in control through items alone? And it's a hard question to answer. They're both almost completely split down the middle. It's just that who's going to be that first player to make that dedicated push? The defensive rockets round choke points have been synonymous with this entire series and these two players. And it's as I've said a few series before here on the stream, that the stress of this situation can make you... it can make you question certain decisions that you otherwise wouldn't. You know, one bad play and you're out of the World Championships. That's quite a lot on the line, if you ask me.
And that could be the game-winning frag here, considering what we've seen so far. Destroys the Pika, uses the inject as well. Even though he has picked up the Heavy, he's done quite a lot of damage. Oh my goodness, he's so weak here. Just use that Heavy machine gun to try and finish him off if he can. NOSFA still able to stay alive and absolutely get away as soon as physically possible. 5 seconds left until this Mega respawns. And even then, though, go for the oh my goodness, BUKSTER is still on the hunt here. Almost managed to land that initial shot. And now heading towards that Heavy. Heavy up in the next couple of seconds here. This is a very important bout here for NOSFA, but looks like he's not going to take it. But how's he going to bring this back with a minute and a half left remaining? And the stack from BUKSTER is scary.
Not only that, but BUKSTER with an inject available can make that stack even greater should he choose to. And a minute and a half for one frag. It doesn't sound like something that hard, but BUKSTER's defensive positioning, and this has been part of him all weekend, is his positioning and his, I think, just care. Being able to listen to where an opponent is. No rush, not forcing yourself into anything. At the moment, it's just efficient defensive Quake.
Honestly, that one frag could do it. That one initial mistake from NOSFA trying to recover with that predictable route towards that light and health bubble across Mega. But look at this, BUKSTER is so weak. This is where we're finally going to see him play defensive, but NOSFA finds him with the direct around that rail jump pad. And now we're all tied up here. Heavy is up. Getting a lot of damage with that Pika, but BUKSTER, he has to back away. He cannot continue engagement.
It's a alarming situation now as BUKSTER is incredibly weak, 17 HP and no armor to his name. We are I would say on the verge of a sudden death, but with how this is currently going, I think BUKSTER needs to focus on just staying alive at the moment. Because if NOSFA brings this one back, if NOSFA takes this away, it's going to be keeping in the tournament, keeping that morale high, and there's still work to be done. But absolutely looks like we're entering sudden death no matter what. So here we go. 2 players here in the lower bracket, and only 1 frag is going to decide who stays and who goes home.
It's just crazy how both these players, those 2 frags, was just due to 1 wrong route taken to recover. So now we're heading into sudden death. A little bit of damage there from that previous rocket from NOSFA. It needs to be BUKSTER to try and initiate that damage, but again, just NOSFA just abusing that verticality in the map. We need to find something a little bit more. The sudden death could be a long one, but NOSFA seems to be the player who's been a bit more creative with his movement to try and catch him, so we'll have to see how that goes.
BUKSTER holding on to that inject. That's going to be possibly the last inject he's going to have access to, should he ever have the chance to pull it. Now BUKSTER, the stack is impressive, even without inject. Looking to shut down and deny. You can see NOSFA just caught sight of him, but not before the light armor was swiftly taken away. BUKSTER, a defensive position. First things first, we're going to have to take out that peeker. Never mind, it took out itself.
NOSFA's quite keen, but BUKSTER's even more keen. Oh, that last rocket, yeah, he had to bail that little run onto the LG stairs. My goodness me. If he didn't hit that rocket, that would have been GG most probably, considering the position he was in. Even though NOSFA would have positional advantage with that LG, BUKSTER didn't have to stack, so it would have been quite a close affair. Heavy's up in a couple of seconds, just tickles in with that last rocket. Using that peeking now, but it doesn't really get too much done there. BUKSTER just continuing to rotate these items. Great rail, as he's still trying to play this quite aggressively. Oh my god, the LG, and BUKSTER takes down NOSFA in the lower bracket, making it to the next round. Unbelievable. What an upset to end things on the B stream.
Keeping himself alive. That's what he's doing.
Damn understatement.
Still in this fight, and he's still deep into this day 2 bracket. For a player that has had a history in the Pro League of winning in the Challenger events, making it into the sort of first day, but kind of sometimes getting a bad draw, just not having a great day, not able to, I would say, fully show the world how good he can be. That, for me, has really changed this weekend. So overall, a thoroughly impressive showing. And sadly, folks, that is going to be our final match of this B stream. However, the reason for that is the rest of the matches are all going to be on main stage. So from this stream and the production team that are doing the B stream of the event, thank you all so much. Cheers for your hard work, and thank you all at home for watching. Lethal and myself are going to peace out, and we'll join you on the stage of QuakeCon.